Matt Lenihan Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Always a pleasure. Dan Tower. Dan, been there since the start of your career, not too long back, and you've racked up a good number of wins now, training obviously under Dave Caldwell, keeping active, keeping busy, and it's been a successful start to your career, hasn't it?
Yeah, things are good, mate. Training hard, taking over in the gym. Got a fight date now. Just waiting on the go ahead to announce it. So yeah, looking good in the gym and just excited to get back out.
Has everything gone to plan for you so far? Now that you're getting them frequent dates, you're getting plenty of opportunity to showcase your talent and ability. Are you pleased where you're at this point?
Yeah, definitely. 4 fights. I made my debut in December, so I've been active. Wasman and the Sauerland brothers are doing a great job of keeping me active, and that's all I can ask for. The first couple of years just about building that brand, staying active, and keep putting on them performances and showing why I'm one of the best prospects in British boxing.
You came with this big reputation. I remember the day when the Sauerlands introduced you and they reeled off all your amateur accomplishments. We've touched on this before, but do you ever look at that point where, obviously you must have had an idea you'll be able to go pro and all the backing, but do you look and think, if boxing weren't in my life, what would you do? Do you ever look at that side of it?
To be honest with you, I'd never really had a plan B. Anyways, it was always boxing. Boxing was always my excuse for maybe not sticking in school as much as I should have, or So there was never a thing where there was never a plan B and never another idea of what I was going to do. So it was always I was going to, be successful in the amateurs and turn over pro, and that's what we're doing now.
Do you ever think about if it weren't an option? Say yourself, look, boxing one shot, not to sound morbid or anything, but it can end your career. And obviously, you go through your amateur game. If you'd have picked up an injury, kind of thing. You mentioned a no plan B, but do you think about what other fields maybe away from the ring that you'd have liked to have gone into if you couldn't? I know it's unthinkable because of the position you're in, but do you look and go, oh, you know what? If I couldn't do this, I'd have been able to turn my hand to this, or I'd have done a trade and stuff like that. 'Cause it's a tough game.
To be truthful with you, like I said, I never really give anything else another idea. I tried football as a kid. I had 2 left feet, so that's why we're boxing now.
Yeah.
Tried football, things like that, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's one of them where what ifs and maybes, but boxing was all in. That was always plan here.
Yeah. In terms of now, you're picking up and under the tutelage of Dave Caldwell, you're learning all the time. In terms of the experience he's got with fighters at so many different levels, and you've got a good balance, I think. Obviously, with the likes of Stephen Cairns there as well. I believe Larone's come back as well now. How are you finding that the dynamics in the gym? Is it competitive? You all are trying to outdo each other all the time. Obviously, I know you need your one-to-ones. How does that sort of dynamic work?
Obviously, we've got quite a small stable, a lot of young fighters, like you said, me, Stephen Cairns, Forty Price is back in the gym, Ellis as well, all great fighters. You could say maybe it's competitive, but not in a way of trying to outdo each other. We're all different ways. It's a good thing, it keeps you sharp and keeps you on top of your game, wanting to prove yourself all the time in the gym, full of talented fighters. Lerone Richards, like you said, came back, very slick. Similar to myself, I'd like to say a southpaw boxer. You'd have a hard job hitting him with a handful of rice some days. Never mind a punch. He's a great fighter, and it's good to have someone like that in the gym where I can, someone old who's been there and done the traditional route. You can take bits of advice from him, like boxing politics, not just the fighting side. Maybe the do's and don'ts of what he would have done or should have done in his career, what he has done, what he thinks was right. So it's good to have someone like that in the gym now as well. But no, it's a great feel in the gym, and we're all developing and coming on really well.
When you look at the state of boxing now, there's some huge fights coming up. Obviously, with the influence of Turkey Al Sheikh and Saudi Arabia, they're managing to get these fights on. There's a fight coming up this weekend, Canelo and Berlanga. I think that's a really good fight. I know people want to see Benavidez, but Belanga's sort of earned his stripes now to have a crack at him. Mexico versus Puerto Rico. I know you study, but I know you got a wealth of knowledge on boxing. What do you make of the fight?
To be truthful with you, I've watched very little of Berlanga. I've watched his last couple of fights. I know he's heavy-handed, but he's never boxed at that world level. Canelo's a veteran. I do think, I just think levels above. I know he's towards the end of his career now, Canelo, but I think he's levels above Berlanga. But I'm sure he'll come have a good go. I've watched a lot of the build up when he's talked about how he's not bothered about the the name of Canelo. He's not feeling the pressure. This is his chance.
Yeah.
But I just think Canelo's levels above Berlanga for myself, and I just think it'll be one-sided. But I think he's young and hungry. He'll have a go.
Obviously, off the back of that as well, you fly into a Joshua-Dubois week where we've got a stacked card, top to bottom. It's a great card, isn't it? I mean, when you look at it. Apart from the main event, what fights on that list sort of excite you? We've got Liam Smith, Josh Kelly, Warrington Kakachi. I think it's a banger of a fight. Hamza Shiraz, obviously, Tyler Denny. What are the ones that you're looking forward to seeing?
The Kelly Smith fight, I think, is a good one. I think I like to see what Kelly's like at 160, and I'll see where Liam Smith's at after the last Eubank loss. I do think Kelly, he's coming into his prime now. I think Liam Smith's at the back end of his career, so I think Kelly for that one. The Warrington fight's a great fight. Two styles. Front foot pressure. So Warrington always brings the fight. That'll be a good one. And the Hamza Shiraz fight, obviously. Hamza Shiraz is on fire at the minute, looking great after his last fight. But Tyler Denny seems to keep pulling off the upsets, keep beating his top names, coming off a good win with Felix Cash. So it's an exciting card. Mark Chamberlain was recently down the gym, sparring Stephen Cairns, seeing a bit of him. So, and the other lad as well, who's fighting Josh Padley, might not be as well known, but I've seen him sparring the gym as well. And so that'll definitely be a top fight. It's a great card.
Main event, do you see Joshua winning? Do you see Dubois winning? What do you think? I mean, Dubois' trajectory now, when you look at his last couple of fights, gets people, and as the fight's getting closer, everyone's sort of thinking, you know what, he's got a really good chance against AJ. Obviously, AJ I think goes in favourite, and maybe rightly so. But Daniel Dubois, we've all heard and seen what he can do.
To be truthful, I think AJ should win, but if I had the bet, I would say Dubois. I think coming off the Hrgovic win, I think he's coming to his own. He's answered a lot of questions recently about himself. I know there's been things after the Joyce fight and questions asked about him. But for me, I think Dubois, young and hungry, I think he'll rough him up. He doesn't seem bothered about AJ's presence and that. So if I had to pick, I'd say Dubois.
Just sort of sidebar, going back obviously to yourself. Obviously, a young prospect in the game, making your name. What's been the biggest sort of shock coming into boxing that you weren't maybe aware of, that's taken you aback, or you've been a bit like, I was surprised at that, I didn't know this, whether it be, gloves, whether it be media attention, whether it be, I don't know, whether it be style training or anything. What's been the biggest sort of like wow factor about this journey for you so far?
To be truthful, I don't think it was as much of a shock as some, as when I was training at Berkeley, where a lot of lads had already turned over pro, got an insight and learned a lot from them. Obviously, it's very different hitting someone in them little 10-ounce 10-ounce gloves compared to the 12-ounce pillows that you wear in the amateurs. But to be honest, I think I'm adjusting and learning quite quickly, a lot quicker than most prospects.
Have you seen, aside obviously from yourself, there's a lot of talent flying about. Do you look at some of the others that are coming through? Who do you enjoy, like from that younger crop, the likes who are at the same stage you, that you look at round and go, you know what, he's a tidy fighter coming through? There's quite a few out at the minute. It's good young prospects.
I've boxed a lot of prospects who have turned pro themselves. And there's a lot of lads that I was on the England squad with, went away with. Obviously, Adam is him. I went away to the European Games with him. Dennis McCann, always knew, same age, always boxing national championship. I'd probably say them two for myself. Obviously, growing up with them and come through the amateur game with them, them two have impressed. Them two have impressed.
Azim's fighting O'Hara Davis now as well. That's an interesting one. Obviously, O'Hara coming off that KO defeat, and Azim, I think, recovering from injury. I think at the minute he was supposed to fight Harlem. What do you make of that fight, just quickly?
I think that's a hard fight. I think that's a big step up in a much harder fight than the Harlem Eubank fight. I think the right off O'Hara Davies after one bad round, getting the wrong game plan. Like a lot of people are, I think is might be a mistake, but I think that's a top fight for a top step up, a hard step up for Azim. But we'll have to see if he comes through that. Then I think he's definitely proved himself as one of the best prospects.
100%. Well, look, Dan, we're looking forward to seeing, obviously, when your fight date's announced. I think you mentioned maybe October. We'll await Wasserman to pull the trigger on that, and be good to see you back out. I appreciate you jumping on. All the best for your training, and we will catch up in person very soon, mate.
Thank you. Catch you soon.
No worries.